Ben.
All right, sounds good, bro.
All right, what's going on, guys? It's your boy Steven, the 918 agent, and we are here to you live. And we got a very special guest on with us today, but I'm gonna hold off on that real quick. I'm gonna let the chat start building up. I got my cousin in the house, Cohen. What's up, my man? What's up? Send him a message back. Cohen lives down in Texas. He is going into, I don't know, 7th grade probably. But we'll go ahead and build the chat up a little bit. So real quick, I'm going to talk about our guest that we have on today, and one of my favorite clients, and actually one of my most interesting clients, because I got some funny stories to talk to you guys about. And plus, I'm not one of those people that talk behind people's back, so that's why I brought him on here today, so we can talk so we can talk about it in person. But we have Ben Jammin in the house with us today. He is one of my first clients I have actually ever helped move to Tulsa, and he's from California, and he's a poet, he's an actor, he's a bartender, he has so many things that he does, and he does very, very well, and he's a great addition that we brought in from California to Tulsa. And so I'm just real excited to introduce him. And so no further ado, let's go ahead and just have him on. And Ben, are you here?
I am here. Stephen Hester, thanks for having me on your podcast.
Oh, thank you. No, thank you for coming on. I guess we have some bad weather here in Tulsa, which I was just told about like 5-10 minutes ago. Are you safe down there in Tulsa?
Joe, I'm totally safe down here in Tulsa, although you can never tell what the weather's going to be like here.
Right. So Ben, before we get started, I just want to tell a quick story about you. Because the way you moved down here was so out of the ordinary.
It was pretty bold.
I get a call from Ben Jammin, probably about a month or two before he decided to move down here. We got on a Zoom chat, we talked on the phone, talked on through Facebook and things like that. And he said, "Hey, I'm going to make a trip out there." I didn't know Ben was packing his car and actually heading down here to live. So
no plan,
right?
Only to get out of California.
Zero plan. So he comes out and he says, "Hey, I'm staying at this hotel until I find a place." And I'm like, "What? I just thought you were coming like for a weekend visit." He's like, "No. I'm coming to find a place."
Man. Trade Winds Motel at the edge of town. Very scary.
Yes. And when you told me that hotel, I was like, "Oh my gosh, Ben, we got to get you out pronto."
Oh my gosh.
It was so funny. So, and then you told me that you want to live in the top zip code of Tulsa and that you were going to find a place. And I was like, "Ben, they don't have very many rentals in that area. I don't know how we're going to, find a place."
Dude, somebody up there likes me because I found
the
ultimate rental. I found a beautiful garage convert behind an oil mansion in Tulsa's most exclusive neighborhood, Maple Ridge.
Yes.
I am not rich. I am an artist. I've always lived hand to mouth. But yeah, I drove across Go ahead.
It was crazy because you told me, you're like,
"Hey, dude,
hey, I'm here."
And I drove across 3 desert states. I never looked back. I just said, "Dear God, please plant me somewhere near the gathering place." I am like a stone's throw away.
Oh, it's
just
crazy.
Go between 2 houses in my neighborhood down this little esoteric path, and I can walk to the gathering place.
I know
that's wonderful.
Yeah,
that was a big selling point for me.
Yeah, no.
And you were the one that told me about it. It was one of your videos that I watched where I learned about the gathering place. I was surprised when I got here. I thought it had been here forever, but apparently it was built just pre-COVID.
Yeah, but, it was just built. It was just built.
I'm living really, really close by. I live in a beautiful neighborhood. Like I said, I'm an artist. I've always been hand to mouth, but somehow I made it to the high classes here, and I'm loving living in this beautiful neighborhood. So from the Tradeswind Motel to Maple Ridge, I have seen the complete disparity of Tulsa, and it's quite wide.
Yeah, it was one of my funniest stories with moving you here was that story of you just like, "Hey, I'm here, my car's packed, like let's find a place." And I'm like, "Ben, what?" What? But no, 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 Ben. Once again, I'm glad you're on here tonight, and able to share. And so, basically, the point of this, real quick, before we dive in, is I enjoy bringing people on that I've helped in the past, not necessarily to talk about how awesome of an agent I am, but more for you as a person that is thinking about moving to Oklahoma or thinking about moving to the greater Tulsa area, that you can get some of these questions that you're wondering asked by not a biased real estate agent, but someone that actually has done it, someone that has done it a couple of months, a year before you, so they can give you insights that I can't give you as someone that's lived here in Oklahoma for the past 20 years. Because I don't know what else other places have to offer. So I think this is a great opportunity. If you're watching live, to write a question in the comment section. Let us know what kind of questions you have. I have Ben here. He'll be able to answer them live. And then also, Ben can answer questions that you might not even thought of, what it's like with this, and all those other type of questions. So, Ben, let's go ahead and dive into it here. And let me just ask you this first question: like, what inspired you to move here from California here to Oklahoma?
Well, there are actually about three reasons that inspired me. So the political climate in California, quite frankly, was making me uptight. I mean, I'm a liberal, but I like freedom too. So it's kind of like a fine line I'm walking. That sounds really strange to say, but things are crazy these days, and the fear is palpable in California. They're still wearing masks, and it makes it very hard as a children's theater director to direct students when they can't express what is on their faces. And especially among my theater contemporaries, they're all into the masks. They're all part of that, and I couldn't take it. I was grumpy. I was getting
So,
grumpy,
so
and
that brings up a great question, Ben, because you moved here in the height of COVID. Like, I mean, it was.
I
Oh my
did. I had a big
God.
chip on my shoulder about it when I got here too. I was surprised that they were still wearing masks here in Tulsa as well.
Mm-hmm.
But then it does make sense since Tulsa is kind of the liberal hub of Oklahoma. I mean, everybody that is in Tulsa is from somewhere else, usually a small town in Oklahoma,
Mm-hmm.
and I've come to the conclusion that Oklahoma is kind of one big small town, so you're either from a small town if you're here in Tulsa, or you're from California or another state like me.
So moving from during the height of COVID, you said you saw some masks here in the Tulsa area, but would you say there's a different? Would you say you felt different coming from California to here with all how COVID was handled?
Oh yeah, the attitudes here, people like, all right, we'll do this, but when it's over, it's over. And then when it was over, it was over. But California, they're still hanging on. You can't go to the theater without wearing a mask. The children's theaters there, all requiring that the children be vaccinated, and I was not feeling it. I like to teach kids, but I want to teach in a state where they're free to share their smiles. And so I decided to come out here. And another thing that inspired me was my Norwegian voice student, Asgeir Berge. He was my student in California before he sold his private investigator company, bought himself a plot of land in Claremore, which of course is just north here of Tulsa, to build his dream home. And he says to me, Ben, you're always complaining that California has more state laws. And he looks and sounds like Arnold Schwarzenegger. I'm not even kidding. California has more state laws and regulations than any other state in the nation, and Oklahoma has the fewest, And I'm like, okay, I'm listening. And yeah, it was his recommendation that brought me to you. I got online, and there was Stephen Hester, the 918 realtor, telling you the pros and cons of moving to Tulsa. And you were a definite inspiration. You talked about, like we talked about earlier, the Gathering Place, which is a wonderful hub for families. And oh my gosh, it's an interactive park. They've got coffee houses, they've got museums, they've got music. Tulsa has a lot of culture, so I did my homework. There's an opera here, there's a ballet here, there's water slides, there's an aquarium. So all of that definitely was appealing. So I hopped in my car and I drove across 4 desert states, and I never looked back. And all I kept thinking in the back of my head was land me near the gathering place. And as we talked about, I landed in
That's where you
Maple
landed.
Ridge. Yeah, very well. And I'm paying, can I say, $1,000 less than I was paying for the same size 1 bedroom apartment in Santa Cruz, California.
Wow.
$1,000 less. Gas is half of what it is in California. A gallon of milk is half of what it is in California. So
Wow.
definitely, one of the inspirations for moving here would be the cost of living. You
Yeah.
know,
No.
so
And that brings up a great question. And just so the viewers know, how long did you live in California before making the move here to Oklahoma?
I grew up in Livermore, California. It's a small town, East Bay, San Francisco. And then I moved down to Santa Cruz in my early 20s and lived there for 30 years, where I ran a children's theater nonprofit.
Okay. And then how long, and we probably should have told this at the beginning, but how long have you lived here in Tulsa?
It will have been 2 years, my friend, this April. I
Two
arrived on
years.
April 2nd. I didn't want to arrive on April 1st because it was April Fool's Day, and I thought that might be a bad omen to arrive in a new town on April Fool's Day. So what I did was I went to Oklahoma City on April Fool's Day, and there I was the fool. I showed up in the morning, excited to see the sights. I was going to spend a day in Oklahoma City before I came out here to Tulsa. And my GPS decided just not to work once I got to Oklahoma City. It had been
Oh
on
no.
one road straight for 2,000 miles, and all of a sudden I'm asking for right and left turns, and it says, I can't. So I had a big, I had a friend who said, go and check out the famous onion burgers they have in Oklahoma City. And I said, okay, well, I'll do that. So I found a restaurant that said onion burgers outside. And I went in and they immediately said, would you please put on a mask? And I had a big chip on my shoulder. So I said, oh, what happened, Oklahoma? You're supposed to be the freest, And I said, I'll just take my business elsewhere, and I went and I left. And then I couldn't go anywhere else because my GPS wouldn't work. So about 45 minutes later, I put my mask on, came back with my tail tucked between my legs. I'm like, oh, I'll take one of your onion burgers, please. He said, oh, would you like a Nutella milkshake with that? I said, that sounds good. I like Nutella, right? Hazelnut chocolate. Dude, butter lumps at the bottom of it was so awful. It was such a terrible experience in Oklahoma City that I said, the heck with it. I'm just going to go to the fancy motel. I've been staying at flea bags all across the nation. I bought one fancy motel in Oklahoma City so that I could see the lights. And I said, I'm just going to go there. I'm going to go for a swim. And the pool was closed for maintenance that day.
Oh no.
So that was my Oklahoma City experience. No need to go back there any time soon that I can think of. Of course, I would have loved to see the Oklahoma bombing monument. And I guess you could have caught the what was the art exhibit that was there. The Monet art exhibit was there. So I guess there's some reasons to go back to Oklahoma City. But yeah, quite frankly, was not my cup of tea. I was so happy to get here the next morning in Tulsa. You greeted me with a hug and open arms and made me feel welcome. Stephen is the ultimate host. He gave me the tour. He showed me all the places I wanted to see. He bought me some fancy chocolate, and it was a business write-off. I mean, God, class act.
Yeah, you know what?
So,
That so if you're watching this and saw the thumbnail, that was actually from our, I think that was our first day or maybe our second day. I forgot. But
yeah, it was first day.
that was it the first day? Yeah, so that was
Yes,
us
sir.
at a chocolate shop and they gave us free ice cream, taste of ice cream. And so that's a
Oh,
picture of us trying it. And
it was so good.
it was so good. You know that place shut down, by the way? It
No,
shut
it's
down.
not. It's still there, isn't it? I
No,
see it all the time.
the downtown location shut down. They actually have a second location. It's called Glacier's Chocolate, and they have a location at Utica Square. It's
Oh,
but they've
that's the one I thought we went to.
no, we went to the one downtown.
Oh,
Yeah,
because I live very near Utica Square and I see it there all the time. And I always
right.
think, oh, that's the place I went with Steven.
Yeah,
But it's not.
nope,
It's a
nope. Yeah, we went
chain.
to yeah we went to downtown location, which was downtown location was awesome. It was beautiful, but Yeah,
Yeah.
they shut down. They shut down. So
Oh,
it's one of
that's a
those things.
shame.
Yeah. So, Ben, since we kind of talked about the backstory a little bit, so we talked about COVID, how the differences were there. Also, we talked about politics and cost of living. Is there anything else that you saw a difference of that you pretty much noticed immediately when you came from California to Oklahoma? I know you pretty much touched on pretty all the big points, but is there anything else that maybe someone didn't, someone wouldn't think of when moving?
Biggest differences? How's my experience compared to California? Um, in a lot of ways, my living experience has been very similar to living in
Hmm.
California. America has become pretty homogenized. Everyone pretty much dresses the same way as they do, in California as they do here. Um,
Yeah. So no,
and
that's good. That's good.
I was,
What are
go
some
ahead.
things that you've missed about California?
Do I miss about California? Well, my friends and family, of course.
Yeah.
The scenery. California is beautiful. It's like postcard beautiful everywhere you look. You don't realize how beautiful California is until you don't live there anymore, And I'm a native boy, and I've always lived there. And I came out to Oklahoma, and though there are some beautiful parts in Oklahoma, there are some not so beautiful parts in Oklahoma. So I do just miss the scenery and, of course, the ocean.
No ocean here in
Um,
Oklahoma.
no ocean. Well, I thought I'm just gonna live next to the river, and then I'll have my body of water. But of course, disappointing. The river is kind of drained and a little bit brown, and not what it used to be.
Yeah.
Um, but it is what it is, and maybe one day it'll run blue again. I'm praying because
No, that's what I'm hoping
I
too.
would love to see that. I miss the water. Absolutely miss the water.
Yeah.
I miss having a long established reputation as a children's theater director and actor, and having my home be the hub of social activity.
Right.
Starting over at age 56. I know, very young looking, no lines. But, I fortunately have an outgoing and gregarious personality because that's what it takes. I've made a lot of friends in the 2 years that I've been here, and I am doing well teaching private acting and voice lessons, as well as emceeing for She Brew's
I was going
open
to ask
mic,
you about
their
that.
coffee house. Yeah. And they have a performing arts showcase. And I found my little niche there, and it gives me an opportunity to perform. I do spoken word, I do musical theater. And yeah, so that's been a real boon for me as well.
Oh, that's great. So so you're coming from the arts in California, you have your private private lessons, you worked with homeschool kids, which I think was a really really cool thing that you do.
Right?
Working along homeschools and teaching them acting and voice lessons and theater and things like that. So coming from California to Tulsa, was there any surprises that you realized here in Tulsa, like, with the culture, the theater, and things like that?
Um, do. Like I said earlier, I was surprised that everybody looks pretty much the same as we do in California. I had this preconceived cowboy stereotype in my head. I'll admit it. I was told Tulsa was the gay cowboy capital of the nation, and I've yet to see one gay cowboy. They're just not. They're hiding. Um, you know. Uh, However, the variety of Southern accents did surprise me. Uh, I wanted to hone in being an actor on the Oklahoma accent, and it's almost Western. It's right down the middle. It's right about here. It's very subtle, the Oklahoma accent, but all you
Uh-huh.
got to do is turn it up just a little bit, and you're in Texas. It's the funniest thing. And then if you go even further east, you end up in Arkansas. And the funniest thing that happened to me at the Tradewinds Motel was I had my first tornado scare. Being a California boy, hearing the horns that you guys have announcing the tornadoes over the city. Everybody in the motels come out to the balcony, to look at the sky. And I'm coming out to the balcony. I'm on the phone to my parents. Oh, there's a tornado. I just got to Oklahoma. There's a tornado. And then I just look around at everybody else, and everybody's just like being nonchalant. And I'm like, oh, maybe I'm overreacting. and, and the woman in the door next door in the room next to me, she says, yeah, 9 out of 10 times it doesn't mean anything. And I said, girl, you've got the thickest Oklahoma accent I have ever heard. And she said, that's because I'm from Arkansas.
So Ben, you, because I remember that it was like you're maybe for like what, third or fourth day here we had a tornado,
Yeah, true
tornado warning.
story.
So
Hmm.
what because that's one of the biggest questions that I get from people moving from outside of Oklahoma is that Oklahoma's in tornado alley. So what has been your experience with the weather here in Oklahoma from winter, spring, summer, fall?
Well, you can't predict the weather, and it's also very very extreme. I am a California boy. I am thin skinned. When the sun is out, it should be warm, and when the sun goes away, it should be cold, as God intended it. Except in Oklahoma, Oklahoma just does whatever the heck it wants. Rains, whatever time of year, don't care. The first summer I was here, I opened the door at 11:30 at night, and this waft of hot air entered, just like I was like gross, and then it was raining at the same time. And I said, I give up, Oklahoma. You just do you. Fortunately, I have central heating, which is very nice. It does get very cold during the colder months. But I have been wintering in California, spending the holiday with family and friends, and that helps me to avoid the really, really chilly months. We did experience a few here in Tulsa, but the day I got home for Christmas in California, I checked the weather in Tulsa, and they're like 4 degrees and sunny. I'm like, that's Tulsa.
Yep. Yep. That's the thing is like Tulsa's all over the map. I mean, we're supposed to get tonight as we're shooting this video. We're supposed to get like 100-mile-per-hour winds tonight, which is
Is that right?
insane.
I
Yeah.
like the
That's what
wind. I
that's what
have
they
to
tell me.
say,
That's what they tell
like the
me.
song, like the wind comes sweeping down the plain. They were not kidding.
Yeah, they knew
But
what they were singing about.
they do.
So
But I love the dramatic weather. I love the lightning storms in the summer. I think it's fun.
yeah. So we talked about your horrible experience in Oklahoma City. So make sure if you're thinking about moving to Oklahoma City, remember what Ben said about the onion burgers and the horrible Nutella shake. Which actually I forgot about that story. I
Not
remember you telling
pretty.
me
Yeah.
that because it sounded
Yeah.
good, right? Nutella shake, like that sounded delicious.
Well, it would be good if
Um,
it was incorporated, but it was just these lumps coming up through my straw, messing with the icy chocolate goodness of what was supposed to be a chocolate shake. Anyway,
oh my brother just entered the chat. He said Texas is better. My brother lives in Waco, Texas, which
well,
I don't know
bless
if
his
you're.
heart.
Yeah, I know, right? Waco, like Waco's horrible.
I thought
Uh,
about moving to Texas. I was also
did
thought
you?
about moving to Florida, but like I said, I had a friend who was here, and I knew that he'd kind of take me under my wing and make sure that I met some people when I got here, which he did. And he still comes by for an occasional voice lesson.
Oh,
And
good.
since he's well to do, he'll take me to a fancy restaurant in Tulsa afterwards, his treat. And what was that? I went to a German restaurant. I can't remember the name of it.
Actually,
I can't remember.
that was actually my next question for you. Is we talked about Oklahoma City. What about Tulsa? What are some things that you have explored around? I know we talked about the gathering place. Is there anything else that you've explored around Tulsa over your 2 years of being here that you kind of like, hey man, I really like that, or that's kind of overrated, or I didn't like that place at all?
Places. Yeah, I had a hard time finding a good slice of pizza in Tulsa, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
Uh, the best pizza I found, in my opinion, is the New York City slice
Mm-hmm.
that they got going on. I think it's on Harvard. It's near the trade winds. It was
Yeah.
like you could see it from the motel that I stayed at when I first moved here. And it's funny because I actually tried lots of different pizzas in Tulsa, and it took me a while before I circled back to, hey, what about that restaurant by the trade winds where I was staying? And sure enough, I was like, you know what? Pretty good, decent. So that would be my recommendation. Sushi in the Raw was wonderful. Glad that y'all got sushi out here in the Midwest. I wasn't sure how that was going to happen, but you made it happen. So kudos. to Tulsa. Other places that I've been to, I've been blown away by the caliber of theatrical productions here. Theater
Yeah.
Tulsa. I went to see a community theater production of Something's Rotten. I was like, these are volunteers. No one's getting paid for this. I mean, the performances were just over the top, so good. And then I also got to see Salome, your opera here in Tulsa. World class opera you all got here. Oh, and I loved just the artistry of it. It was in your face theater where the actor playing King Herod shows up in a limousine with his entourage and harem, and they enter through the lobby, to dazed theater patrons. I just love that. And then, of course, there is the Tulsa American Ballet,
Mhm.
world class, top 5 in the world. I had no idea, but I was commissioned to sing a telegram. I do singing telegrams. It's one of my side niches for the executive producer of the Tulsa Ballet. I happen to
No.
teach his niece voice lessons. So I know, right? Good contact,
Yeah,
good people. And
it,
I'm right in
it's
the heart of the arts. I feel like God put me here for a reason. I'm making good connections, and I'm just really enjoying the culture here.
right. Oh, a couple people left a comment. We have Robert James, which is actually one of my really good friends from Ponca City. When I graduated from Ponca City, and my middle school, high school friend, he said, "I'll buy the booze. Let's go chase the storm, Steven." That's storm chasing. Uh,
Right? I
Dueling
love it.
Piano Bar. That's what my brother said. I think he's talking about down there in Texas. And then Carolyn said, "I love theater. Glad to hear when I get there, I will have some good things to look forward to." So
Right?
yes, yes, yeah. That's one of the things that I think Tulsa is one of their hidden gems. Is we actually have so much thing with the Tulsa PAC with their seasonal
That's another
Broadway.
thing I was going to say. I got to
Yeah.
catch a comedian, Bill Burr, big headliners
Whoa, you saw
right
him?
here in town. He was hilarious. I caught the Indigo Girls at the Tulsa Theater. There's all kinds of venues downtown.
Oh, I
And
forgot
just,
about the Tulsa Theater. Have you been to the
yeah,
Canes Ballroom yet?
I have not, but I've heard of it.
Yeah.
I haven't been there. I went to, oh gosh, Oral Roberts has a basketball court, right?
Yep. Yep.
And
Yep.
I got
Yep.
to catch a
ORU.
basketball game with my friend Zane at Oral Roberts. Yeah.
No, look
So
at you.
that was fun. And people, it was neat. We were standing in line for the basketball game, and the national anthem had started inside. And everybody just stopped what they were doing and put their hands on their heart, even though we're just standing in lines to get popcorn or whatever. Everybody stopped and just, you don't see that kind of patriotism in California at all. I was very moved by it. I have to be
Oh,
honest.
thank you.
Yeah, I thought
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
was really nice. I was like,
Well.
oh, thank God. I didn't used to be patriotic until they started taking away all our rights, and then all of a sudden I got it.
so so you're in so we talked about the theater stuff, which I'm glad you brought up because I think that's one of the underestimated things that Tulsa has. But you actually, when you first moved down here, maybe a couple months after that, you got to be a part of a long time theater on Riverside, right? It was I forgot what it's called. Little Light, not Little Lighthouse. What is it called?
Oh, I know you're talking about Spotlight Theater
Spotlight
at the
Theater.
at the Oleo Theater. I was actually riding my bike down Riverside when I first moved here, and I passed by this very strange looking building. It kind of looks like I don't know, a cross between Art Deco and Native American art. You got to see this. It's got this large round window, and I'm like, I bet that's a theater. And I went up to it, and sure enough, it was a theater. It's an ancient theater. It's been there forever, and a little bit of Tulsa history. It has the longest running play in, I think, the world, but at least in American history. It's a melodrama. It's called The Drunkard, and it's one of those audience participation melodramas where you boo the villain and you cheer the hero. And it's been playing there since 1953.
Wow.
I know. And COVID just about killed it in its tracks. Now they've slowly been regaining momentum, and there was a moment where they were looking for a children's theater director, and I was like, "It's destiny!" And I totally oversold myself. And they're like, "Well, we're gonna stick with the people we know, and maybe you can volunteer, and we can get to know you a little bit better," which makes sense. I mean, there's nepotism in any nonprofit. I know that. I've been part of several, and so that was okay. That wasn't meant for me.
Right.
Uh, but what is exciting is my friend Janet Stegman, who I started Kids on Broadway with, my first nonprofit children's theater 30 some years ago in Santa Cruz with, is also fed up with California politics and has decided that she would like to come out to Oklahoma and produce
Oh.
theater with me. And she is moving here next month. She's bought herself a little home in Bartlesville, a little further than
Oh.
I was hoping, but
Right.
she's got 5 cats, so she's got to buy a home. No one's going to rent to her.
Right.
So
Right. Right.
she
Right.
so she sold her home in Grass Valley, California, and she's arriving in Tulsa, Oklahoma next week, and she wants to
Oh.
start a theater company. I said, maybe we could start a Kids on Broadway. She says, Liberty Theater, no masks. And I'm all like, no one here cares anymore. It's
Yeah.
not a thing.
Yeah. Not a thing. Not a thing.
Yeah,
Not a
it's
thing.
not a thing. But what is a thing is she's high energy, and she's type A personality. She crosses her T's and dots her I's. So she's a perfect person to partner with because she gets things done. So I'm very excited about Miss Janet Stegman and her arrival here. She's going to be performing with me at the open mic at She Brews. We talked about that a little bit earlier. She
Yeah.
Brews kind of took me under their wing there. And I have been helping bring in larger audiences by promoting monthly events. And next month, we are having a Wizard of Oz sing along. It's going to be on November 8th. I know. We're at 1 Lewis Avenue, Kendall Whittier neighborhood near the Circle Star Theater. And come in costume. There'll be prizes for the most wonderful Wizard of Oz costume. We're going to recreate a tornado. We're going to have games for the kids. Bring the family. There's wonderful beverages. There's treats for everybody. Come on out to She Brews because we have a family-friendly open mic. We're the only one in town, which makes us very special. She Brews is a Christian ministry that helps women who've recently been incarcerated get their lives back. So by
Mm.
supporting She Brews open mic, you are helping to support women as well as the performing arts in our community. And anybody can come there and do spoken word, share their testimony, sing a song, play their guitar. It's for everyone. If it's clean, bring it to the scene. We're there every Saturday from 2 to 4.
I like that. Is if it's clean, you can bring it to the scene. That's
Bring it
good.
to the
Did you
scene.
make that up, Ben? Did you make that up?
You know what? One of the performers there, Timothy Clark, made that up, aka MC Righteous, and he's kind of been my co-host lately. There's a lot of Jesus energy there, but I'm there as well. So there's a lot of theater and Broadway
Hmm.
energy. It's a good mix, and it's a place where you can bring your kids and expose them to the performing arts in a safe environment.
So how did you get hooked up with that job? Because I mean, you are so for like you just get so connected with different stuff. Like every time I talk to you, you're like, "Oh yeah, I met this guy," and I'm like, "What? You met that guy? How did you meet that guy?" And you're like, "Oh well, you see, so and so and so and so." I'm like, "How did you meet so and so and so and so?" And then you're like, "Well, I went to this one thing." And so, how did you get hooked up with She Brews?
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Well, there is brilliance in boldness, and boldness is what I came to Tulsa with. And I said, I'm going to teach a comedy class the first month I get there. And I put together a poster and I talked to the people at, not the gathering place. What's the other park over here that
Oh, Woodward?
the Woodward Park.
Yeah.
I said, hey, can I teach a class? I teach improv and stand-up comedy. I teach it in a circle. I'll bring my own folding chairs if I can just set up under the oak tree. And they're like, yeah, that sounds good. So I went and posted about, I don't know, 100 posters advertising a comedy and improv class, stand up comedy and improv, and I put them at 27 Starbucks. And you guys have 27 Starbucks here in Tulsa and Pocono, and I put one in every single one, as well as any other coffee house that might have a community bulletin board, because that's always how I operated. Like I said, I ran a children's theater nonprofit for years. Better than any advertisement you can ever buy. You just put a poster up at the Starbucks or the bagelry, the people will come. Commerce, it is the way. And so that's what I did. And I got about 6 bites, 2 commitments, and it wasn't quite enough to move forward with the class. So it didn't happen. I'm trying again this summer. I'm currently enrolling students for a stand up comedy class that includes some improv games for the kids. But long story short, I took my poster to She Brews because I went online and I'm like, She Brews. I made like a little Google map and all the coffee houses, and they were on my path. And so I said, can I put my improv poster up on your bulletin board? And they said, yeah, there's an open mic here. You might be interested in coming and bringing your improv to the open mic or whatever. You can perform, you can sing. It's our open mic. And so I went there and I immediately made friends with Randy Bunn, who is the executive volunteer of the She Brews open mic, semi-retired physical therapist, nice guy, older gentleman. And he took to me right away and said, look, Ben's got all this great energy. He could help bring in more people. I think I will step down as MC because clearly Ben should be being the MC. And he said, would you like to be the MC? And I said, of course I would like to be the MC. And he said, would you like our roster of names of performers who have been here so that you can mail them up, newsletters? I said, yes, please. So I got myself a roster of about 100 names of local artists and families that support the arts. And I do a monthly newsletter for She Brews, advertising our special events like the Wizard of Oz sing-along that's coming up. I was fortunate enough to also do my first recital. Like I said, I teach acting and singing classes, and my students were able to perform at She Brews for a little recital for friends and family. So She Brews has been a great boon for me, and it's continuing to grow. We've recently moved from Thursday nights to Saturday afternoon, and there's
Oh,
just been a
wow.
boon of families and kids, which is my jam. So I'm hoping to advertise my improv class on the 8th of next month during our Wizard of Oz sing along. So bring the kids. It's going to be a hoot.
Yeah, and so actually, one of the other cool things that I don't want to say I used Ben, but Ben assisted me was my daughter. When Ben moved down here, she was
You used
really
my
interested.
services. You can say that.
Yeah. I used your
Employed
services.
me.
Yeah. So my daughter is a singer, and she really enjoys singing. And so
She's a
when Ben
sweetheart.
when I helped Ben move down here, I said, "Hey Ben, do you do private lessons?" And he said, "Absolutely, I do private lessons." I said, "Great." So I mean, my daughter is very shy and doesn't like singing in a big group of people. So we went over to Ben's beautiful what would we call that, studio apartment behind
Studio
the
apartment, garage
yeah
convert. Although
yeah
in Maple Ridge we say carriage house,
carriage
not
house. I like
garage.
that carriage house. And so yeah, so me and Rylan went over there, and Rylan really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed it. You guys had a
Yeah,
great
she really
time.
came out of her shell, and that's
Yeah.
what I'm really good at is building confidence. I was trained classically, so I teach classically. I also teach acting, but I would say musical theater is my forte.
Musical theater, you would say, is your
Yeah,
forte.
but I teach all genres, and you can use classical technique as a base for any style of singing.
Hmm.
So
So
anyhow.
what else? So you do the open night at She Brews, which I think is awesome. You do private singing lessons. You do improv. You also do a little bit of bartending. What is that kind of? You kind of what does that look like?
Yeah, I bartend private parties and weddings, and it's given me the opportunity to see some other places outside of Tulsa. I've visited some other towns. because of my bartending gigs. Basically, I'm a private bartender for weddings and private parties, which is good work if you can get it. It pays
Yeah.
well. You're in and out. Love is in the air. Everybody's your best friend by the end of the evening. So I've been trying to get a little bit more traction. I would love to have a few more gigs. Like I said, it's something that I do on the side. I have my business card. I always say, Benjamin, mild mannered children's theater director by day, czar of the bar by night. Also available also available for singing telegrams. But I bartended a party in Sperry. Is that how you say it?
Yeah, Sperry. Yeah,
Sperry?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Sperry.
And then I also got to bartend for a wedding in Muskogee, as well as a gig that I had at the Muskogee Golf Club. And
Okay.
that was fun because I grew up in the '70s, and I remember Merle Haggard's "Proud to Be an Okie from Muskogee." So it's like, ha, 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 I'm going to Muskogee. So anyway, that was kind of fun.
Yeah,
But
Muskogee.
yeah, and then when I'm not doing bartending gigs, um, I'm doing singing telegrams. I started singing telegrams about 3 years ago now, and there's not a heck of a lot of competition. And again, great work if you can get it.
Hmm.
And yeah. I started about 3 years ago. I had the parent of one of my voice students say, "Hey, Ben, do you do singing telegrams?" And I was like, "Well, in college once I did one for my friend who had a girlfriend. And yeah, yeah, I do singing telegrams. Sure, sure I do. And for $15, I'll get you a bouquet of balloons or some flowers. I am I'm
Nice.
singing telegrams that are personalized. So you write a paragraph or some bullet points about your special someone, and I will be happy to embarrass your friends for you. I am bringing confetti back in a big way, and I love to make a scene. So I've been really fortunate in that I've been able to do what I love, which is pass down the performing arts, singing and acting. Bartending. It's not my first choice, but it's a pretty good gig, and it's only part time, and it's a lot of
Nice.
fun. And then singing telegrams, which I really enjoy, just making someone's day. So I've really carved a unique niche, my own niche of things that I like to do, and I feel very blessed in this life to be able to
Mhm.
do that. And when you've had as blessed a life as I have, then the only thing left to do is to lift other people up. So that's
Right.
what I try to do, is just lift others.
No, I think you totally do that. You have a real special thing with people, and so I think Sheepers is really blessed to have you.
Thank
Tulsa's
you.
really blessed to have you down here. You're just man. Every time I talk to you, you're always in a good mood, always smiling, always making other people around you feel better. So
Thanks.
you're awesome. You are awesome.
Oh, thanks.
So.
Thank you. I appreciate your energy as well.
Yeah. And so, real quick, I just want to tell you if you guys are ever interested in getting a hold of Benjamin, if you go down in the description below, I have his information there. I have his website and his email. So, if you want to get in contact with him, you can basically go in the description right now below and you can find all of his information right now. So, before we wrap up, Ben, I just want to ask you a couple of more questions about Tulsa. What
Sure.
is one of the things? Because once again, I don't want to be a biased realtor and say Tulsa's awesome all the time. What are some of the things that you dislike about Tulsa? Um, that
The
you want
road
people to
is
know?
full of potholes. There's potholes everywhere. But you warned us in one of your videos about that already, so I knew what I was getting into with the pothole situation. Fortunately, there's usually two lanes, and you can pick the one that has the fewest potholes and just kind of, surf. You know how it goes.
Yep. So
um,
potholes are horrible. And anything else you can think of? I mean, we kind of already talked about weather. You say you snowbird back to California during the winter months, which is good.
You
This is
know,
fine.
I don't have much bad to say about Tulsa. There's some ugly parts of town.
Yeah.
There's, uh, you know, but I don't drive on those roads if I don't have to.
Right. Right. Yeah, and that's what I
And like
tell
I said,
people.
it's a beautiful city. It's a metropolis. The arts are here. There's culture here, and that's what I love, and that's what I'm about.
Yeah.
And yeah.
So what about the crime? Because that's another question that I hear from people that are looking to move to Tulsa is that they're worried about the crime because they watch this TV show called The First 48, and Tulsa seems to always have at least half of the episodes for the season coming out of Tulsa. Um,
Oh
what?
no!
Oh yeah. So
Not
yeah.
even with Sylvester Stallone distracting us with Tulsa King.
Yes.
Tulsa's like the Paris of the Southwest.
Yeah, and then he's not even coming
It's a
back. Did you hear
stretch.
about that? He's not even coming back. He's
Oh,
they're shooting season 2 somewhere else.
oh, how rude. Well, we still
Yeah.
have Kristen Chenoweth anyway, Broadway
Mhm.
personality, and
Choose from
darling Kristen Chenoweth, the Down and Broken Arrow.
or it's
Kristen
Broken Arrow.
Chenoweth. She played Glenda in Wicked on Broadway. She's a petite little, anyway, so talented. And I hear that she's doing a musical theater for kids in the summer in Broken
Oh,
Arrow, which is a suburb just south here of
yeah.
Tulsa. Yeah, so bless
Yeah,
her
that's
heart.
awesome.
Yeah,
That
very
is really
cool.
good. So
Yeah.
crime for you been here in Tulsa, have you I mean coming from California or just in your experience, have you
You know
really
what? It's everywhere, and I'm on next door in Maple Ridge, and there's always somebody posting something. Look at where my camera caught this porch pirate, or what,
Yeah.
So they come here to Maple Ridge. Sure, like I said, there's poor people. There's a disparity that it's going to happen. Um, there are, some areas that have more crime than others. I was looking further south below 51st. Here in Maple Ridge, we never go below 51st. But I was going to
No,
50. There's
hey,
no
hey,
need.
you're talking like a midtowner now, Ben. You're talking like a midtowner. You're talking like a midtowner. That used
There's
to be
no
me.
need unless you're going to like the loony bin to catch some comedy, to
Yeah.
go down all the way down to 61st, 71st, that whole territory. Yeah, here the crime is bad,
Hmm.
and I hear it's really bad down there. And I'm glad I didn't move down there. I interviewed several. There's some great apartments, and they're going for cheap.
Yeah.
But then as soon as I bring up what's the crime situation, they clam up, and I'm like, yeah,
Yeah, we're not doing that.
yeah, I want to move to Maple Ridge, which has the lowest crime rate
Yep.
in Tulsa. Uh, However, I did leave my car doors unlocked, thinking I was, in Santa Cruz, which I did all the time. It was never an issue. And someone rifled through my glove box. Fortunately, there was nothing. They didn't
Nothing
get
in there.
anything.
Oh,
There
thank
wasn't anything
goodness.
in my car, but they just left a mess. And let me know their presence. I was like,
Right.
oh, I guess I better lock
And
my
started
doors,
locking it. Yeah.
even in Maple Ridge.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually,
So,
I need to do that too. I live out. I don't live in Tulsa. I live out in the suburbs in
so I've
Collinsville.
seen
But
your house. You have a charming little
thank
neighborhood.
you. Thank
Yeah,
you.
really nice.
Thank you.
I
Thank
like
you.
Owasso.
Yeah.
I like the
Wausau's.
people in Owasso too. I had a great experience where I got to help one of my boy students. He was directing a children's theater production for the Parks and Recs there in Owasso,
Oh yeah, I remember
and
you
he
telling me that.
asked
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
I would mentor him and come in. And I went in for about, I don't know, 3 or 4 rehearsals and just kind of, helped him out, did a little choreography. And I found the kids to be, on the whole, very respectful, and very polite. So
Yeah.
kudos to Oklahoma and Owasso parents, man. I was very, very just impressed with
Yeah.
just the class,
Yeah, no,
you know.
Wasau's great. Wasau's one of my favorite suburbs. I mean, obviously that's the reason why I live out here because I really enjoy it. But I mean, Bigsby's great, Broken Arrow's great, Jinx is great. So you can't really
Yeah,
go
there's a lot of
bad.
great areas
Yeah,
for
there's
sure.
a lot of great areas. But yeah, you ended up choosing Midtown, which is actually one of my favorites. If I didn't have kids, I would come back to Midtown because there's just so much
Dude, I
stuff to
feel
do.
so blessed.
Yeah,
Like it
Midtown's
was
awesome.
meant to be almost. Even my address 222, it's like, oh, that's an angel number. I was meant to be here.
So, is there any places that you enjoy going to, like on Brookside, Cherry Street, Utica Square? Is there any like your go-to places that you would recommend other
Well,
than
like I said, the
Shebrews?
gathering place is right around the corner here, and it's just and also what comes through. I can't remember the name of the bike path, but it goes right past
Oh yeah,
the
yeah, yeah. Riverside Trails.
Riverside Trails, and then it goes along the river, and I got my bicycle, and it's a really just beautiful ride, and a chance for me to get some exercise. And I also recently discovered that the Gathering Place has a restaurant and bar. I did not know
Hmm.
that. And I can walk there from my house. You can't
Oh,
walk anywhere in Tulsa. I mean, it's
yep.
spread out. Not as spread out as Oklahoma City, but spread out. But it's right here. I had a lovely glass of wine and some gourmet pizza with shaved almonds on it. It was fun. It was a class act.
Yeah, and so that's one of the other things is from people that are moving from like New York or L.A. Oklahoma's, I mean, Tulsa's not very walkable. If you
No,
want to say Midtown, maybe, but if you ask me, I say no. But there's some people that will tell you some parts of Midtown is.
I don't even
But
see a lot of bicyclists. I don't even see cyclists out
yeah,
here.
no, what cyclists do, because I used to be a cyclist,
I
is
mean,
they
on the
be
paths, sure, but not
yeah,
downtown
yeah.
ever.
You either go to the Riverside or you start off in Jinx and you get outside of Tulsa city limits as fast as possible. So you try to ride your bike around Tulsa, not in Tulsa. That's
Right,
what we did when I was riding a bike. Unless you're on Riverwalk trails, then that's
right,
a
right.
real safe place to ride.
And
But
another fun thing that I've been wanting to do that I haven't done yet, it's on my list, is the water slides here. They were shut down when I got here because of COVID. And
oh,
didn't you recently do a vid?
mm-hmm.
Aren't they
It's called
repurposing,
yep.
reimagining?
So it's Safari Joe's, and they are basically Safari Joe's was bought out by another company called, and they're going to call it Paradise Beach, and so they are doing some things there with redoing slides and redoing a bunch of stuff. So it's going to be open again, I think, here in the next week or two. So that's going to be super exciting.
Oh,
With
will it be
that.
warm enough? Oh my gosh.
I
I
don't. I don't
guess
think so. I don't think so. It's going to be cold. I think it's a couple weeks. And they're going to do that. So
we shall see. I just hope I'm not too, I just make it down the slide without hurting my knee.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I recently tore my Achilles, so I understand knees
Oh
and
no, and you're
Achilles.
just a young pup, dude. You're barely 30, right?
Yeah, pickleball's a real dangerous sport, Ben.
Oh my
Pickleball's a
god,
real. That's how I
pickleball's
did it.
big here.
Yeah,
I have my best friend plays pickleball
oh,
all
I
the
love it.
time.
I love it. I love it. It's normally pretty laid back, but I just stepped wrong and it just popped, and that's all
And
she
you
wrote.
got your Achilles?
Yep.
Ah, son of a
Yep.
gun, dude.
Yep.
Oh
It
man,
was. It
Godspeed.
was.
Well, I hope you heal quickly on that
Yeah.
one, dude.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So
For sure.
before we log off here, Ben, is there any other things that you can think of that would be helpful to a individual, a family, or someone that's considering to move here to Oklahoma slash Tulsa? Is there anything else you can think of that might you do something that you wish you knew before coming?
Hmm. We covered the weather. We covered the potholes. I'm
Mm-hmm.
sure there is.
Covered
Let me
crime,
cover crime.
cost of living.
Just I'm living. Let me see. I plan to stay in Oklahoma long
Oh
term.
yeah, 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 yeah.
You
Yeah,
know,
do you
I've done. Yeah, I've done well here, finding a home and being able to find work. I landed well here. Tulsa greeted me with open arms. I don't plan on eventually moving back. California is not as freedom friendly as it used to be, and of course, I'll go back to visit friends and family in the holidays. And that
Mhm.
way I can stay connected to loved ones while skipping out on some of Tulsa's colder weather. Because
Right.
it gets really really crazy cold in here. So that's been working well for me. So I go spend about a month and a half and winter in California. As far as affecting my personal or professional goals since I moved to Tulsa, um, I had already come to Tulsa with the same goals I've always had, which was to find employment and doing things that give me joy. Uh, but I will say, as a freelance entrepreneur, Tulsa has certainly afforded me the opportunity to carve out a living doing what I love, being myself,
Yeah,
which is about the best endorsement I can give y'all.
oh,
Um,
that's actually
yeah,
really good. That's really good. And that's something else that I always forget to talk about is Tulsa's very entrepreneurial spirited, and
Mm-hmm.
and you felt that because I mean you literally just said it, and I think that's one of the things that's kind of underrated about Tulsa is just how many small businesses and how many people that come into the city and start something and build something, and then the city just comes all around and supports it. So I'm glad you said
Yeah,
that because I think that's something that isn't talked about enough. Um,
very
about here
cool.
in Tulsa. So, but Ben, once again, Ben's information is down in the description below. So if you have questions or want to hire Ben for your next big party or want to do a singing telegram, or if you have a kid that, wants to learn, improv or
Song and
singing.
dance. It could be the parent too. I
Yeah,
teach
parent
kids
too.
of all ages
Yeah, yeah,
and all
yeah.
experience, and I can really build confidence and help you to the next level.
Yes, and Ben is awesome. I mean, he just can't talk you up enough. I mean, just literally lights up the room, lights it
Well,
up.
thank you, Stephen. I'm glad y'all talked me into coming out to Tulsa. I'm awfully
Yeah,
glad I did.
yeah. I'm glad you did too. I'm glad you did too. All right. So if no one else has any more questions, we're going to be logging off here. Once again, Ben's information is down in the description if you have any questions about that at all. Also, we'll be looking at the comment section over the next couple of days. So if you have questions and things like that, me and Ben will be able to answer those for you. So, Ben, stay on the line. We're going to log off here. Once again, thank you guys for coming in, watching the live stream with me today. We go live, or I go live every Sunday at 8:15 p.m. Actually, might have to move back to 8:30, but I usually drop a reminder on Saturdays or Sundays. So come join me next Sunday at 8:15. We're going to be talking about something new. Maybe have a guest on. Maybe talk about something different. Just come back and find out. Thank you so much for joining. Steven out and finish.